Am I the asshole for excluding my, quote, adopted sister from family photos at my wedding? I, 26 female, and my adopted sister, Allie, is 14 female. The way we're related is that my younger brother, Michael, 24 male, has been with his wife, Maya, 24 female, since their freshman year of high school. Maya and Allie are sisters and had a really bad home life, and my mom is very much a my home is open to everyone type of person. So over that year, Maya began spending more and more time at our house, eventually bringing Allie over as well, since she was always babysitting. By the time Michael and Maya were 16 years old, Maya basically lived in the guest room, and Allie spent after school, most weekends, holidays, and summer vacations at our house. My mom and dad say they love both Maya and Allie like their own children. My other siblings, 18 male and 16 female, also treat her like she's part of the family. Even after Maya and Michael moved out, Allie is still at their house the same amount, if not more than she was before. Now to preface, I have nothing against Allie. She's a good kid, and I make an effort to be nice to her. However, I've never really liked how she was foisted into our lives. She's not actually adopted, and she still has parents and her own family. Yet my parents spend so much time and resources on her. It's ridiculous. Everyone else has started unironically calling her their daughter or sister, and I've refused. I just don't consider her to be part of the family. Anyways, I got married recently, which is where the issues start. I invited Allie to the wedding, of course, and she came with all of her other family. When we were doing pictures of the wedding parties, I decided that I wanted one of my immediate family. My parents, siblings, Maya and my brother Michael's daughter. My mom brought Allie up to come take the pictures with us, and I was forced to tell her no. My mom started to get upset, but then Allie said it was okay and sat down by herself. My mom isn't a very confrontational person, so she didn't make a big deal of it, but then everyone else realized that Allie wasn't there, and they got mad as well. Ultimately, we took the photos how I wanted it because they, quote, didn't want to do this at my wedding, but my entire family is pissed at me now. My mom said that Allie cried when she got home because I didn't love her, which I don't. I feel like they forced me into a position where I had to do an asshole thing by forcing this kid onto me. I don't think I should have to consider her family if I don't want to. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Update. The people who are agreeing with me are starting to convince me that I'm wrong. To the people calling my parents nasty things in my private messages or just saying they aren't good people, you're dead wrong. My mom is the most caring and kind-hearted woman in the world, and I should have made that more clear in this post. To be clear, I am not a monster. I don't mistreat Allie. I get her birthday and Christmas gifts every year. However, I am starting to understand that I did do a shitty thing by publicly excluding her at my wedding because I wanted it to be exactly how I imagined, especially because my mom was apparently blindsided by my feelings. I was 16 to 18 when Allie started coming around a lot, and I didn't form the same bond everyone else did. I never super liked being around kids, including my sister, who by all accounts behaves way worse than Allie ever did. But I recognize that she's become a part of the family, and I think I'm going to make more of an effort to get to know her properly. My brother proposed to my fiance, his ex, and I'm pissed. My 28 male brother, Mark, 26 male, used to date my fiance, Jen, 26 female, a year ago. For context, they dated back in August of 2022. They were only together for a month before he broke things off with her because he was bored of being in a relationship and never really wanted to settle down anyway. At the time they were dating, I was in a different state, so I had no idea he even had a girlfriend, and I had no idea who Jen was until I met her. Jen and I met at a bar when I moved back in October, and we hit it off really well. She was easily the most beautiful and intelligent woman I have ever met, and we met up a few times before we made it official. Fast forward to December, and I finally bring her up to my family and propose them meeting her at Christmas. They knew I was in a relationship, but I'm not the most open about my personal life, so I kept details about her to a minimum until I knew how serious we really were. My parents asked to see a picture, and they started passing my phone around the dinner table. Mark saw it and blew up, calling me a shit brother for dating his ex-girlfriend, and he demanded I break it off with her. I refused. When I asked Jen about it, she confirmed they dated and gave me details about the breakup. It took a few weeks, but eventually Mark stopped bringing me dating his ex up, and I thought he was over it. On Jen's birthday this year, I took her out to a fancy dinner with both of our families and her closest friends, and I asked her to marry me. Mark flipped once again and blew up about me proposing to her, which I and my sister shut down immediately. The incident happened this past weekend. Mark had been pretty quiet about the whole thing for the past 2 months. I didn't see him much and figured he went low contact with me, which I had no problem with. Then he invited me and Jen for family dinner at his apartment with my parents and sisters. I thought it was weird, but my parents and sisters were also going, so we agreed to go. The dinner was nice, nothing too fancy, and we moved to the living room to talk. About 30 minutes into a normal conversation, Mark stood up and told us he had an announcement. He made a long speech about being happy to have his family around for his big moment, then got down on one knee and pulled out this cheap ring while asking Jen to marry him. Jen was confused and obviously uncomfortable and demanded that he put it away and stand up. My dad tried to make a grab for Mark, but I got to him first and punched him. I won't repeat most of it, mostly because I was too angry to even listen to most of it, but Mark said something along the lines of wanting to show me that Jen wasn't really into me and just wanted to get back at him. Before it got any worse, my parents rushed me out and promised to talk to him. It's been a few days since it happened, and I'm still pissed off. I don't know what to do at this point. I'm scared Jen might have second thoughts about marrying me because of this. Does anyone have any advice? Update. I called Mark and asked him to meet up with me at my place to talk. I told him I would prefer Jen to be around for the talk as well, but I was cool with it if he didn't want her there. He agreed to talk to both of us and showed up at my place around noon today. It was pretty quiet for a few minutes before I started the conversation. I apologized for not warning him I would be proposing to Jen, and I apologized for hitting him. He said it was, quote, whatever, but he appreciated the apology. I told him what Jen said about their relationship and breakup, and I asked him to confirm if it was true. I pretty much said that his reaction throughout the whole thing has been extreme, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't misunderstanding their relationship or downplaying how serious they were. He confirmed they only dated for, quote, a few weeks, and he broke up with her because he lost interest. Jen asked if he was acting like this because he still had feelings or regrets of ending things with her. He said he could admit he thought she was more attractive than when he last saw her, but there weren't any feelings or regrets. He said he just didn't like seeing a girl he dated, even if it was short term, with his older brother. And as a man, I shouldn't have violated him by pursuing things with his ex. I reminded him that I had no idea they dated, so it wasn't like I consciously did this knowing their history together. He shrugged it off and said it didn't matter. I still should have broken it off. He was adamant that if the roles were reversed, he would have done the same thing, which I doubt. I asked him why he proposed to her if he didn't have any lingering feelings. Basically, to sum it up, he was talking about it to one of his buddies who was around when Mark and Jen dated. And the guy put the idea in his head that maybe Jen knew from the start that they were related and was doing this to get back at him, considering Jen had been hung up on him after they ended. He and his friend thought it would be a good idea to test it and to see if they were right. So he came up with the idea to propose and see if she dumped me for him. Jen asked him to elaborate on why he thought she was hung up on him. And he told her that he heard she was asking about him following the breakup and still hanging out at the places they used to go to, so it was a valid assumption. Then for her to pop up randomly with his brother affirmed his suspicions. Jen told him she only asked about him once following the breakup, and she'd been hanging out at those places with friends before they started dating, and she didn't avoid them because of a breakup. She also told him she was offended at the idea she would go as low as to pursue me just to get back at him. He shrugged and gave her a half-assed apology, but said she had to see it from his point of view. He asked her if she really didn't know, and she told him that she didn't see the resemblance in us until we were in the same room, and we acted nothing alike, so it never crossed her mind. And he said okay. That pretty much wrapped up the conversation. He did tell me before he left that I could take back his invite to the wedding because he can't bring himself to support our relationship knowing he used to date her. I told him he didn't have to worry about that, as he was most likely going to be uninvited anyway. It's been a few hours since our talk, and I do feel better. My parents aren't too happy about him being uninvited, but they understood that this is a mutual decision and probably for the best. My sisters told me they knew he didn't have a good reason for being an asshole, and they don't blame me for not wanting him at the wedding. As for now, I'm going to limit contact with Mark, and I doubt he'll reach out to me anytime soon either.
Am I the asshole for telling my brother he got exactly what he deserved when he pushed his girlfriend away for being a gold digger? My brother is a very hardworking man, and at 27 is now very wealthy and doing well for himself. He's been with this girl for 6 months, and throughout the time we have gotten close because we both like hair, makeup, and shopping. I never really knew there was anything wrong with their relationship except when she texted me last week saying she would love to hang out but thinks it's inappropriate because her and my brother broke up. I asked her why, and she said she was sick and tired of auditioning to prove that she was with him for the right reasons. She went on to say that my brother is paranoid she's after his money, so he would like to test her. By 1, leaving out his bank statements on their bed and getting upset when she picked it up. 2, going out to eat at a high-end restaurant he requested and then leaving his wallet at home on purpose to make her pay the bill and prove she's not going out with him for the money. 3, never buying her gifts and questioning her when she asked why he doesn't. I was shocked, so I had to hear my brother's perspective. We spoke, and he told me everything she said was true and that there's nothing wrong with making sure his girlfriend is with him for the right reasons. He said he left his bank statements on the bed and was peeking through the door to see if she would be curious, and when he saw her pick up the papers, he knew in his gut that she was using him for his money. So he set up the restaurant idea to see if she would be upset by paying a $500 bill, which she was. I asked him if he thinks her being an elementary school teacher could have contributed to her being upset at a $500 bill at a restaurant he wanted to go to, and he said no. He said the straw that broke the camel's back was when she asked him why he hasn't bought her a single gift since they started dating, when she bought him a gaming console and new rims for his car, and he knew she was discreetly asking him to buy her an expensive gift. He confronted her, and he thinks that she's only with him for his money, and she said, let us do us both a favor, and dumped him and blocked him. He's upset about the gold-digging bitch, and when I laughed, he called me an asshole. He said I would never understand what it's like being a rich man and being used. I get that concern, but I told him if he thinks any woman would be okay with his tests and auditions, he's delusional as hell. If he doesn't want to be used for his money, he should start dating people as wealthy as him and leave the lower income people alone if he's not going to be genuine in their relationships unless they pass his tests.
Exactly.
Am I the asshole?
No.
No.
No. Oh my God.
Am I the asshole for kicking my boyfriend and his kid out because his son constantly is scaring my baby on purpose? I was diagnosed with PPD, so I'm not sure if this is just playing a part in my actions or not. I've been with my boyfriend for 6 years, and he has a 12-year-old son named Jake. I have owned my family home for nearly 10 years. They moved in 2 years ago. Currently, our daughter is 3 months old. Now, Jake loves his sister. He's always holding her and trying to help, but there's been a massive issue since I had her with him purposely scaring her, walking up to her and yelling, "Rah!" He thinks it's hilarious when she does the startled reflex and then starts to laugh when she cries, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare her like that," but continues laughing and continues purposely trying to scare her at least 4 times a day. Now, I have always told him to cut the shit. I have told him several times that he is hurting her ears. I have told him several times that it's not funny. And not even 3 days ago, I lost my shit entirely and told my boyfriend and him that if he purposely scares my kid again, then they would be evicted and gone from my life. I said this because while my boyfriend does correct his kids sometimes, he also tells me I'm overreacting. He said that it's natural for kids to think it's funny when babies get startled, and I simply don't understand because I've never been around multiple kids. His son does have a half-brother, and apparently he did the same thing when he was a baby. But anyways, I lost it and threatened to kick them out, and in that moment, I truly felt like an asshole because Jake looked sad and just went to his room. But last night, I stepped out of the room for a minute and my daughter was in her swing. Jake went to sit there, and when I was out of the room, I heard Jake very loudly and fast say, "What are you doing?" in a baby voice. And my daughter started screaming, and immediately following, I heard my boyfriend take care of it. And then an hour later, I went to the bathroom and the baby was in her seat and I heard, "Rah!" followed by the baby crying yet again. So I told them to pack their shit and get out now. I didn't wait for a response because I am trying to calm the baby down. Jake tried apologizing and said it was a habit, and my boyfriend started protesting, saying it was not a big deal, and I just refused to acknowledge their excuses and told them to leave. My boyfriend sat down on the chair, said he wasn't going anywhere, and that this was his house too. So I said I would leave then and have the cops serve him an eviction notice. He tried begging me to calm down and kept saying, he's fucking 12. What do you expect? He's not going to be perfect. I left this morning and filed for their eviction. Everyone thinks I'm being ridiculous here, but Jake refuses to stop, and I'm tired of him purposely yelling in my daughter's face to scare her 4 times per day. Am I the asshole?
No. Am I the asshole for not choosing a vegan restaurant for my birthday, even though sister-in-law won't be able to attend? So my brother, male 39, is very, very angry with me, female 40. He has been with his fiance, female 25, for 2 years, and since then, every family member, with them included, has been 100% vegan, and the reason is that his fiance can't be around meat. Honestly, I never found it an issue. I love vegan foods, and I don't believe one vegan meal would kill you. We have had one vegan Christmas at my parents'. The other Christmas they celebrated with her family. Anyway, not all were indifferent about that, as I was, and I heard gossip and complaints. I just usually grab some popcorn. Unfortunately, the drama this time is about me. I'm turning 40 in 2 weeks, and I have made reservations in a restaurant. I sent the invitations. My brother immediately answered that I have forgotten the rule. On further inquiry, he explained that the restaurant wasn't vegan. I said that I knew that, but that it had vegan options that looked delicious. One of my closest friends is vegan too, and I put her and sister-in-law in mind when choosing, but most importantly, I put myself in mind, and I really liked the restaurant. He called me angry and yelling, telling me he always knew I didn't like her. What are you talking about? Of course I like your fiance. Now family is in the middle, siding with me versus little bro. His fiance is very upset at him as well at me and saying I never liked her. Even told me that she couldn't be with him if his family hated her like that, so he is very angry and telling me I'm ruining his relationship.
What? Am I wrong for telling my husband the only way I will agree to a paternity test is if he schedules it? I, 30, female, have been married to my husband, 36, male, for 5 years. I am currently 4 months pregnant. This wasn't a surprise pregnancy. We planned it and actively tried to get pregnant. So it came out of left field when a few weeks ago my husband told me he wanted a paternity test. I asked him how he or why he thinks I'm cheating on him. He said he didn't think I was, but that makes absolutely no sense. I asked him to explain how this child could not be his if the only person I slept with was him and I didn't cheat on him. He had no answer for that. I was a mess for a few days afterwards. Once I calmed down, I told him that if he wanted the test so bad, then he could schedule it and tell me where and when, and I will be there. He then asked me if I could be the one to make the appointment. I told him no. He was the one questioning the paternity, so if he wanted it, he makes the appointment. He tried to explain again that he wasn't questioning the paternity, he just wanted to have reassurance. I told him I don't care anymore about his explanations, but if he wants to have the reassurance, he can go do the legwork. He asked if I could find a number at least for him to call, and I told him no. I still have no idea why he thinks I'm that kind of person. I haven't done anything to ever betray his trust, but it has been at least a week and he hasn't made any appointment, and the last time I asked, he told me he was working on it. His sister came over this morning after he left from work and told me that she was told everything and that I need to just put him out of his misery and do the test. I told her I would take the test. He just had to schedule it. She told me I was being bitchy for not just making the appointment myself, but I am not the one questioning who the baby's father is. I don't think I should have to make the appointment, but I want to get an impartial opinion before he comes home today. Am I wrong?
Told my wife, female 35, that she couldn't do it without me, male 34. Turns out she can. This one was posted 2 days ago. I made one stupid, selfish comment to my wife a week or so ago, and now my life is in a disarray.
Laundry.
My wife is in
Routine.
some crisis. Her work is closed and she's being paid, but she's home with our kids now, including one 3-year-old. She gets breaks on Monday and Friday with childcare. We went into having kids knowing she wanted to be the working mother. So this has been an adjustment, to say the least. On to the OG fight. She spent a long day with our kids and the neighboring kids, and when I came home upstairs from work, she asked for a break. I didn't respond well. I made excuses and didn't offer help, and for the first time in years, my wife lost her temper and cursed at me. Like an idiot, I dug in and thought I was right. I admit we both said some unkind things, but after Reddit humbled me, she made me sit down and write a list of things I did for the family that day and compared it with her longer list. I apologized. She accepted, and I figured things would go back to normal. They haven't. My wife used to include me in parenting our kids. I did dance pickup most weeks, and bedtime was split. I gave baths, made dinner, all the stuff. Since our fight, my wife hasn't asked me for any help with the kids. The first morning I woke up on what was supposed to be my morning with the kids, I figured she was just being nice to try to prove her point, but it keeps happening. She didn't even send them down to say goodnight last night. Normally, my wife does the silly game where she sends my son to ask me to read 5 books, and then we would negotiate down to 1 or 2 and race upstairs. Last night, I heard her racing him and came up to find her doing bedtime yet again. The kids haven't even noticed. It's like she's replacing me. When we were fighting, I said something really, really dumb that's living inside me and festering. My wife was being nasty and said, "You wouldn't see the kids a quarter as much as you do if I didn't arrange it, and I'm done managing you." I defended myself. I'm not an absent parent, and said something along the lines of, "I'd like to see how you can manage without me." Consider my foot officially in my mouth. She started running again. She's cooking really healthy and often. Every night I come home to my perfectly happy step-forward wife doing it all without me, and I feel empty inside. How do I fix this? I don't even know where to begin. At this point, I want to beg her to go back to how things were. This wasn't what we agreed on. I'm 29 female, fed up of my boyfriend, 33 male, sneaking things into my food. I'm really struggling at the moment looking for some advice. My 29 female boyfriend, 33 male, moved in with me around a year ago. We have been together for 5 years now. Before we moved in, we would mostly eat out together or grab something easy from the shop and eat at mine, not his as he lived with his parents. Since moving in, he has become a Gordon Ramsay wannabe, saying he's a trained chef, used to work at Mackey's, lol, but he understands food hygiene and wants to cook more adventurous food. I'm not against that, and I'm happy for him to experiment and cook whatever he fancies, as long as the mess does not get left behind in the kitchen. Here's the issue. I'm incredibly picky. I know I'm not a child and I should grow up. Trust me, I've heard it all before. And don't get me wrong, I have to try so many new things. Since being with him, I actually surprised myself. The picky eating is more than just picky eating. It's a fear/phobia, I don't know. If I eat something I'm not sure about, I tend to get a bad stomach and get sick. If the environment things are cooked in isn't clean, I will just not eat from there, or get something that won't kill me if I eat it, like fries, for example. It's mostly meat products and select/specific few other random selections of food, mainly relates to texture or poison risk. I have been like this since I was a kid, and overall, it's not a massive issue. Most places have things on the menu that I will eat, and if not, I will always ask if they can not put a certain thing in my food. My boyfriend, however, has taken it upon himself to try to sneak things into what he's cooking for us. For example, he snuck mushrooms into ragu recently. He's tried to sneak peanut butter into sauces. He's even tried to tell me calamari was an onion ring. I don't eat pork, and he made a meat sauce with a beef/pork mince. These are just some examples. I think he expects to have an aha moment and catch me out. I have had people doing this to me from a young age, and I'm an expert at spotting it. For example, I will glance at the bin to see what packaging is there before I eat, and I inspect every mouthful of food. I eat sauces separately so I can see my food. I check what's on the cutlery in the sink, look at receipts. I have a huge mistrust with people and food, and this is only making matters worse. It has got to the point where I won't eat any meals he's been cooking because I don't think it's safe. I've said this to him and time again, he won't listen, and I'm not sure what to do about it. We can't keep living this way, but I'm not sure I can trust him anymore. I know it's silly and it's just food, but at this point, it's not something that's likely to change about me. To live in the same place and eat 2 separate meals, he makes it feel like it's a huge inconvenience, but he will eat anything, and I will not. Any advice on how I can address this with him? I'm starting to question the whole relationship mostly for this reason, which makes me sad he just doesn't seem to get it and just thinks I'm attention seeking.
Am I the asshole for calling out my girlfriend over her cat obsession? I'm not kidding. My 36 male girlfriend, 35 female, is obsessed with her cat, 10 male. Dating for 3 years, but living together for 2. Since the pandemic, I've been home a lot more and I've realized just how cat crazy my girlfriend really is. They do absolutely everything together. She doesn't need an alarm because he wakes her up at 7:30 every day by sitting on her chest and gently nudging her face with his nose. He eats his breakfast while she eats hers. If we're watching TV, he's in her lap. If she's working at her desk, he's in her chair or with her, chilling nearby. If he acts even a little weird, like hiding in the closet, which is, I guess, he normally doesn't do, she's on the phone to the vet. She even takes him for walks with a little harness that I used to think was kind of cute until I realized it just meant her obsession would not just be limited to inside the house. Don't get me wrong, I do like the cat. He's a chill cat, doesn't mess stuff up around the house, very friendly and clean. But sometimes I would like to have my girlfriend to myself. I've tried closing the bedroom door at night, but the little Houdini got in somehow, and I woke up to him smiling at me smugly from atop my girlfriend's tits. Anytime I mention toning it down with the cat, she gets all hurt and makes excuses like how she's had him since he was a kitten and they've been together through a lot. She's even gone as far as to say he was her lifeline during a period of major depression in her late 20s. Every time I back down and say, okay, I get it, he's family. The final straw came when we were talking about relocating together to another country. She wants to limit her search to countries that don't make pets fly under the plane, ruling out a ton of good countries. I finally stood up to her, told her pets fly under planes all the time and it's perfectly safe. Told her she was limiting her options for her anxiety, not the cat's safety. He wouldn't be any safer purring at her feet while she pet him the entire flight. She tried to argue that he's a senior pet, but I didn't back down. What the fuck? He's only 10. I showed her tons of airline literature about safe pet flying programs and whatnot. She tried to argue that physical safety is not the same as psychological safety and that she thinks it'll be too traumatizing if the cat goes under the plane. Here's where I might be the asshole. I gave her a list of my top countries, all of which would require the cat to go under the plane. I told her that I wanted a future with her, but that I thought she needed to get serious help for her obsession with her cat, and to let me know if she ever decided to get help we could move forward with our lives. The ball's in her court. I've been staying with a buddy, but it's been about a week and she hasn't called, so I'm starting to wonder if I should have helped her find a therapist before I left. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for waiting out my prenup before divorcing my cheating wife? Absolutely not. If it worked in your favor, hell no. Bro played the long game. She played checkers and he played chess. My wife settled for me. I didn't know it when we married, but I do now. She was in love with her high school boyfriend that her parents hated. She was with him all through university. Her parents finally told her that they would cut her off financially if she stayed with him. We met soon afterwards, and I fell in love. She did not. Once again, this was a surprise to me. That sucks so much. That sucks, finding out that the love of your life settled for you. That is so sad. We had a prenup that her parents insisted on. I was in it for the long run, so I had no problem with it. I basically got nothing if we divorced before we were married 10 years. After that, it was an even split as long as I was not the cause. She was begging her old boyfriend our entire marriage. I found out after we were married for 8 years. I was angry and depressed. I had spent 8 years supporting her in her career. She has a much better paying job than I do, It's high profile and she deals with our government a lot. This bitch, yeah, bro, you're still not the asshole. Hell no. No, you're not. I decided I could handle 2 more years of infidelity. I had already done 8 unknowingly. I filed for divorce on the day after our 10th anniversary. I let her parents pay for our vacation. I didn't do anything dirty like send the evidence that I had to her parents. I would have blasted her ass. I just had a lawyer draft claim for divorce. Included was the evidence that the prenup had lapsed and our holdings were to be split. She said that I blindsided her after our holiday away. She doesn't understand why I would do it. I said that I just don't think we're compatible anymore. I'm prepared to go nuclear if I have to, but I don't want our kids, yes, they're mine, I checked, knowing why. I'm keeping the evidence that I have on her boyfriend in my pocket. I can blow up his marriage. He's married too? Okay, I can blow up his marriage and make her parents pissed at her if I absolutely must. I just prefer to end things with me in a decent financial position to take care of the kids. Am I the asshole for what I did? No, you're absolutely not the asshole for doing things the way that you did because, sir, you have so much more patience and class than I do because the way I would be out screaming from the tops of mountains about this bitch cheating on me, but I think, like, for sure, you should tell her parents. If you don't tell anybody else, you should tell her parents because this bitch has cheated on you for 10 years. She's committed. She is committed. If you don't tell her parents, at least let her know. Let her know that you know she's been cheating. And if she decides to go and try to tell lies to people as to why you guys broke up to make you seem like the bad guy, let her know that you will air out all of her dirty laundry, that you will ruin her boyfriend. If you don't tell anybody, you should tell her. Make sure she understands that you know. Bitch, you may think you have gotten away with this and I've just decided to leave. But just know, if anybody out here know, I know. Am I the asshole for telling my bio sister I'm sorry she wasn't adopted, but that doesn't have anything to do with me and I owe her nothing? I, 25 male, was placed in the foster system by my bio parents when I was 2 years old. I was adopted sometime later by my real parents. I recognize that I'm extremely fortunate and lucky to have been adopted before I had any real memory of the system, and that my parents gave me a better life than I would have ever had if I stayed with my bio parents. I grew up privileged. I went to private schools, had holidays abroad, had my tuition paid fully when I started university. I was loved and never lacked anything. I currently have a well-paying job as a chemical engineer, a beautiful wife, and a house paid off fully by my in-laws, and 2 children. I'm very grateful for everything I have, and I recognize that I would be leading a very different life had I not been adopted. Last year, I was contacted by Opal, 27 female, who claimed that I was her brother and she wanted to meet me. After careful consideration, I agreed. After doing a DNA test together and digging a bit into family history, Opal and I discovered that we were placed into foster care around the same time. Usually, foster care will try to keep siblings together, but for some reason, we weren't registered as siblings and were placed in different foster homes, probably due to having different dad's surnames and been given up by different people. Opal got very upset by this discovery, even more so after she found out that she was never adopted. I had lived a good life with loving parents. After the discovery, Opal started calling and asking to hang out with my parents and I, or asking me to do certain favors for her. It got uncomfortable really quickly since, to be frank, I don't know her that well. In all aspects except genetically, she's a total stranger to me. I don't feel comfortable lending her money or introducing her to my entire family. I understand. I fucking understand. I don't feel comfortable lending money to people that I've known were part of my family my whole life. So I completely understand how you wouldn't feel comfortable lending money to somebody who called you last week. She even made a couple of comments that made me uneasy. She asked me if I thought my parents would have adopted her also had they known she existed when I was adopted, and if I think they would accept her into the family now. First of all, how the fuck am I supposed to know what they would have done back then? Second of all, you need to stop. We've known you for 3 damn days. I need you to calm down. Like, your obsession with wanting a family, I understand that. But you're going about it in an extremely unhealthy way. This girl needs to talk to somebody, and somebody other than her biological brother. Because this is not okay. Is she even, well, they said they did a DNA test. I'm saying, is she even really your sister? Because this is not okay. Last night, she called me again. This time to complain how she saw that the women in my family had a get together over the weekend and how she felt excluded since she didn't get an invitation. You're not a part of the family. I told her that I get that she's upset, but that was a family get together for all the women and she's not family to them, so she's not entitled to get an invitation. Oprah began screaming at me how it was unfair and how since I'm considered family, she should be considered too by extension. No. She said that I owe it to her to make sure my family invites her next time, since it's the least that I could do as someone who got adopted. Bitch, bye. Get the fuck off of my phone. I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you anything. Unfortunately, we were dealt two different hands at life. I don't owe you anything because of that. I don't. The girl, no, you need to go and get a fucking therapist because there ain't no way in hell this girl would be a fucking terror if this family tried to even accept her a little bit. She would be a complete menace. I told her I'm sorry she feels excluded and that she wasn't adopted, but neither my family nor I owe her anything before I hung up the phone. Since then, I've been receiving nonstop texts calling me an asshole and an evil jerk. I'm starting to second guess myself and I need an outside perspective on the situation. Block her. Block her ass. Something in the bottom of my ass is telling me had her brother been taken in by a family that was not considered well off, she wouldn't have even bothered to reach out to him. Not at all. At fucking all. It really sucks that they were able to reconnect, but not for the right fucking reasons. Like, she truly feels like her brother is responsible for making up for everything that she didn't have in her life because he was adopted and she wasn't. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Despite you guys being adopted or put in foster care separately, him being adopted, you guys were still able to find each other. And instead of looking at the beauty in that, it's you have a whole lot of shit that I didn't get. And it pisses me off that I'm not being considered family so I can get it too. Are you fuck, bitch? We don't know you. He said they reconnected last year. We don't know if that was the end of the year, the beginning of the year. So we just gonna say it's been less than a fucking year that they've been reconnected. And this bitch is upset that people who don't know her, don't recognize her as family, are not giving her invitations to shit that she want to be a part of. Like, girl, get the fuck out of here. No, hell no. You are not the asshole. It's time to block this bitch. Block her. She ain't been in your life that long. It's okay. It is okay. Block her.
Am I the asshole for telling my friend she should have seen her husband and her friend's affair coming? Background. I, 35 female, was friends with Julia and Alex. We have been friends since college, but our tiny group expanded from 3 to 7. This story is about Julia and Alex. 2 years ago, we all came to know that Alex was having an affair with a married man. Her excuse was that he was unhappy, and that is why he was seeking outside validation. I advised her to stop it, and that this is not healthy because he will not leave his wife. She didn't listen. Rather, she accused me of being a bad friend. All of my friends were against it, but to them it was, quote, not my monkey, not my circus. So I contacted the wife and told her everything. I knew who the wife was because the married man once introduced us. And everyone in my friend group turned against me, especially Julia, because she thinks I betrayed my friend. She stopped talking to me because if I can betray a close friend of mine, then I can betray her as well. Alex was heartbroken because the married man decided he wanted to work on his marriage, so he broke things off with her. Julia was with Alex, and I was shunned from the group. What happened now? A few weeks ago, I got a call from Julia. She was crying and telling me that Alex betrayed her. She's been having an affair with her husband, and that she is heartbroken because she had supported her, and this is how she repaid her? Even our friend group is divided. I was angry at the moment. I mean, she ignored me for 2 years, badmouthed me, said that I was in the wrong. I literally warned her that Alex was toxic. I told her that she should have expected this from Alex. I mean, did she really think she will show loyalty toward you when she already did something immoral before? I knew the moment she made excuses of having an affair with a married man, her morals were compromised. I am not religious, but I do have minimum respect toward other people and their feelings. And suffice to say, I'm not surprised she went after Julia's husband. I do think I went too far, because some of my other friends said I was too harsh on her. Even if what I said was the truth, I should have been more sensitive because she is going through a divorce. I do sympathize with Julia, but I also feel like as friends sometimes we need to tell them the harsh truths. I know I said all of this when I was angry, but a part of me says she needed to hear that. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for making plans on Valentine's Day so I don't babysit my granddaughter? My 36 female daughter, Leah, 17 female, is a teen mom. My daughter got pregnant at 14 and it was very shocking news, but we found out very early on and she got to abort it. A few months later and she got pregnant again and I couldn't handle the situation very well at the time, but having my sister, her aunt, talk to her about what she was planning on doing, and she decided to keep the baby, which I'll admit I wasn't very happy to hear, and I told her she'll have to be responsible about her consequences. Of course, as a mother, I couldn't have her work and distract herself from school. I didn't want her to miss on her childhood, so I had to work evening/night shifts to care for my granddaughter while Leah was in school. I realized that Leah had been taking advantage of my situation and making me cancel plans so I can babysit for her. I overheard her making plans for Valentine's 2 weeks ahead on the phone with someone saying, "My mom will do it, she has no life anyways," and laughing afterwards. Being a single mom and having to work multiple jobs was hard enough, but since she gave birth to her daughter, I haven't gone out to any party. I've canceled many weekend gatherings so that my daughter can be able to hang out with her friends, and if I did go, I'd always have my granddaughter with me. And for her to laugh about my situation like that angered me. That same day, I was asked by a guy I've been seeing to accompany me on Valentine's, and I was hesitant, but I didn't want to miss the chance. He's a really nice guy. I haven't been on a date for almost 6 years, and it wouldn't hurt to give my daughter a taste of motherhood when she least expected it. I told my daughter that I got asked out for Valentine's Day, and she was happy at first, but then asked if I was going to take her daughter with me, and I said obviously not, and she'll have to cancel plans for the day. I didn't expect her reaction to be so extreme. She cried, screamed, and told me I was being selfish, that I was letting her miss out on a date just because I thought a guy was interested in me. The argument didn't end very well. I stood my ground and went on the date, and she had to cancel plans, but she's still really mad about it and has been ignoring me. I love my daughter and I wouldn't want her to miss anything, but I wanted her to learn a lesson and be responsible. My sister agrees with me, but my friend told me I should have done it on a normal day, not Valentine's. Does my approach make me an asshole?
Am I the asshole for not getting my wife anything for Valentine's Day? I'm in trouble this week, and I'm not sure that I deserve to be. I, 35 female, did not get anything for my wife, 36 female, for Valentine's Day this year. Hear me out. I told her in August that since I'm going to be unemployed and going to law school full-time the next 3 years, that I won't be getting her or anyone else presents for the next 3 years. I mentioned to her multiple times. She was then kind of mad at me for not getting her anything for Christmas despite this, but she got over it rather quickly. Monday morning, I texted her Happy Valentine's Day because she leaves for work before I get up. I did not get her any presents because I don't have any money. She got me a bag of jelly beans for Valentine's Day. I didn't need anything, but I thanked her anyway. She was very mad I didn't get her a gift for Valentine's Day. She said I couldn't gotten her a small gift or even something homemade. I told her it didn't even cross my mind as I didn't have the money for gifts, but I will do that in the future. I then made her a homemade card, but she said that it didn't count because she had to ask for it. She also knows I do not like Valentine's Day as it reminds me of when my school was shot up in 2008. I also have had a cold all week and haven't been feeling well. She was still mad at me on Tuesday and reiterated the same points. It's now Thursday and she says she wants to forgive me but is still upset and feels that me not getting her something means I don't care. I said I don't feel that I should have to apologize as I told her I wouldn't have money to get anyone gifts months ago. Am I the asshole?
My boyfriend broke up with me on Valentine's Day because I ate too much at dinner. I, 27 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 26 male, since last summer, about 7 months now. It has been my happiest relationship ever so far, as he is smart, kind, funny, and a good listener, bedroom stuff is excellent, etc. We don't live together yet, but spend about 3 to 4 nights a week together. I was so looking forward to our first Valentine's Day together. I made us reservations for an early dinner at our favorite steakhouse, and the plan was to come back to my place after that to watch a movie and have dessert. I got us a little heart-shaped chocolate cake and quote-unquote dessert. Anyway, I'm kind of a string bean, 5'9", and it's a struggle to keep my weight, at least 125 pounds, the minimum for my height to not be underweight. There is nothing medically wrong with me, just have a really fast metabolism and have to be careful to eat enough. Boyfriend is also very slim, 6 feet, and about 145 pounds, but doesn't have a huge appetite. So it's always been a bit of a joke that I need to eat more, and more frequently, than he does, but until our Valentine's Day, I didn't really think it was an issue. He shows up looking amazing, gives me flowers and a really sweet card. I give him a gift I know he really wanted, an Apple Watch. And we head to the restaurant. He's a full-time grad student and I work, so I don't expect expensive gifts. Also, I am paying for dinner due to income differences, which I do not mind at all. When we get there, I dive into the bread basket and order a salad, surf and turf, small filet, and a lobster tail, and a couple sides to share, sauteed spinach and mashed potatoes. And he gets a small cup of soup and a grilled salmon. Pretty standard steakhouse stuff. Again, I am paying, and it's definitely a treat meal, but not extremely unhealthy or anything. I definitely relish my meal and finish everything except some of the sides. He eats a bit more than half of his salmon. Most of the way through the meal, he starts looking annoyed and distant, but won't tell me what's wrong. We get to the check, don't do dessert as we have it at my place, and as we're pulling up to my apartment, he says he's tired and just wants to go home. Says no, he doesn't want to come in for cake or sleep at my place. He wants to go home. In the moment, of course, I'm disappointed because it's Valentine's Day and our first one at that, but I tell him I'm so sorry and hope he feels better. I try to give him a kiss goodnight, but he turns his head and tenses up. This morning, he texts me to say that he actually wasn't sick. He was embarrassed by how much I ate and turned him off. That I had made a pig of myself, and it's really unattractive. Now, I do not shovel my food in, and I had impeccable table manners, so it's not that. It's definitely just the volume of food. I tried calling him, but he won't pick up. Texts me back saying he isn't up to talking and he needs more time to think. A couple hours ago, he texts again saying he's thought about it and he wants to break up. That my eating has upset him for a while, and he was just trying to see if he can get over it, but he can't. I am so distraught and confused. Just yesterday before dinner, he was telling me how much he loved me and how lucky he was, and of course feel horrible about myself for being disgusting, even though if I eat much less, I will lose weight and get sick. I guess I just have to accept that it's over, but hope someone might have some advice. Did I do something wrong, or is there a way I can fix it?
She's paying for dinner. She bought him an Apple Watch, all this stuff, and he's like, I can't handle you eating so much food. Like, it's not like she's like, blah, 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 blah.
There's an update. First, thank you for those who were so supportive and validating that his reaction to my eating a hearty but normal steakhouse meal was way over the top. Your kindness made me feel a lot better about getting dumped and realizing I likely dodged a huge bullet. Sorry I didn't respond to everyone. I went to bed when there was only a few dozen responses, but when I woke up the next morning, the post was already deleted. Anyway, I realized I couldn't just block my ex because he had left a bunch of stuff at my house. Several outfits worth of clothes, assorted toiletries, and electronic chargers. So I did text him the next day saying I understood, and did he want to come get his stuff or should I bring it to him? I also asked if he was planning to return the watch, given how things went, and he didn't answer that, but he said he would stop in by a couple of hours. When he arrived, I gave him all of his things neatly packed and saw he was wearing the watch. He said he was keeping it because it was a gift. I told him I thought that was pretty crummy of him, but ultimately I knew he is legally in the right. I had actually checked with a lawyer friend of mine because it had been a gift freely given. And for something of a value of less than $1,000 that doesn't have any sentimental value, it just isn't worth fighting over. He went on to tell me he was sorry. He went off on me that he had wanted to break up for a while because he was starting to see someone else in the grad school program. We did not have an open relationship and thought it would be easier if I just thought he was a big jerk for nagging me about my eating. And he had double booked for Valentine's Day with a late dinner with her, which is the real reason he didn't eat much at our dinner and sought an excuse to get out of dessert and later activities. I'm shocked. I didn't read this.
What?
There's more. Honestly, I could have been really hurt and angry, but in the moment just felt sorry for him for being so immature he had to act this way. There's really nothing that turns me off and makes me lose feelings more quickly than a grown man acting completely childish. So I just told him best of luck and I hope he figures out his life. I don't expect we will have any future contact. Finally, to address one point from the prior comments, I know a lot of folks said I shouldn't have gotten him such an expensive gift after dating for only 7 months. The thing is, I had usually dated men who are a bit older, not inappropriately, so maybe 5 to 7 years older, and in a higher earning professions like law or finance, so I'm more used to giving/receiving pretty expensive gifts. And figured here, even though he was a student, I still wanted to be as generous as I could reasonably afford to be. But going forward, I will be more careful and probably wait until dating at least a year to give gifts that cost more than a couple $100s. So all in all, a bit of an expensive and hurtful lesson, but it certainly could have been worse. Looking forward to a brief break from dating scene and then hopefully dating more mature people. Am I the asshole for visiting my late husband's grave on Valentine's Day? Hi, first time poster here. I, 37 female, lost my husband in 2014. It was very unexpected. We were together since high school and had a daughter, 15 female. It took a long time to accept his death and move on, but I did, and I've been in a new relationship for 3 years now. My boyfriend, 38 male, is amazing and I love him. He gets along with my daughter super well, which is obviously important to me. The drama is, we've recently been arguing about the fact that I have a few photos of my late husband around the house. He said it makes him uncomfortable to constantly see the man I was married to. I have a table in the living room where I have a small memorial type thing. It has a bunch of photo frames of my late husband as well as candles. I came home from work 2 weeks ago and saw that my boyfriend took all of the photos off the table and stashed them in a drawer. It caused a massive argument. He told me he did it because it made him feel like a guest in his own home. I told him it's fucked up to be insecure over a man who isn't even alive, but he believes his feelings are completely valid. My late husband's birthday is on the 14th of February, and every year I go to visit his grave with my daughter. But this year my boyfriend got irritated over it. He told me he wanted to spend the entire day with me, but instead I went to, quote-unquote, look at a gravestone. Apparently, I ruined Valentine's Day. I was furious. I asked him why he suddenly has an issue with my late husband, and he said it's because he was planning on proposing to me, but he can't anymore because he believes I'm still caught up on my husband. I ended up calling him a cunt, and he angrily left the house and hasn't been back since. Am I the asshole?
I dread Valentine's Day. I, 29 female, have been with my husband, 31 male, for 5 years. On our first Valentine's together, he took me out on a date and bought me some chocolates. I baked him his favorite pastry, gave him a present, and offered to split the bill. That was the only Valentine's Day that we celebrated. Later on, he told me he doesn't believe in celebrating this day, and it's all fake, an excuse to get people to spend money, yet he celebrates Mother's and Father's Day and a lot of other random days celebrating trivial things. And we love each other every day, not just this one. We do, but I hardly ever get romance. I have tried suggesting things to do. He usually tells me they are too much trouble, or we go to do them and he's just not in the best mood. I have also bought him presents, but he barely acknowledges them. So February 14th, I go on social media and see all the women celebrating their love with their partners, and I am not being acknowledged. My husband isn't the romantic type, and I knew this going in, but I can't help but feel sorry for myself. I hardly get any flowers or anything remotely romantic, and when I express how I feel, he just tells me he is more practical and tries for one day and then drops it. I feel like I can't say anything to him because he is a good husband in every other way, so I end up dreading this day and avoiding social media altogether.
get ready with me while I tell you the time my friend's man was in my DMs. This story time, you will learn why I trust nobody, especially females, and 2, why I no longer tell the other person if their man or if their partner is cheating on them, because they always just end up going back and somehow you're the bad person. I had a girlfriend who I was friends with for, I want to say maybe like 5+ years, and she ended up getting a boyfriend around like middle school, high school. I never really knew much about her man, if we're being honest, and I honestly never cared to know about her man because that is her man. She's dating him, not me. So my friend's birthday was coming up. Her man messaged me on Instagram, and I found it very weird. Right off the bat, I was going to text her right away, but then that's when I received a second message from him saying, oh, don't tell her that I'm texting you. And I was like, what the heck? Like, what possibly does he want to say? So then he sent me a third message, and he goes, oh, I'm planning to throw a surprise party for her. I also want to decorate her room. Can you help me out? I was ready to snitch this man out because, first of all, why are you in my DMs? But because he needed help surprising my friend, I was totally up for the plan. I basically responded back to him and I was like, hey, yes, give me more information. What exactly do you want to do? Do you need me to distract her so you can set things up? Or what exactly is the plan? So he gave me a breakdown of the plan and I agreed to it. A couple months later, she ended up coming to my house with her boyfriend to drop off some gifts for my birthday. I said hi to the guy. One thing about me is it does not matter if I do not know you. If you're walking into my home, I'm at least going to say hi. Whether it's me verbally saying hi or me shaking your hand. But I did not give him a hug. First of all, I don't need to give this man a hug. He's not my man and I don't even know this man. So they ended up leaving my home. Shortly after, I remember getting another DM from him. Keep in mind, at this point, we had prior messages together because he wanted to surprise his girl, or he's planning to surprise his girl for her birthday. And so obviously we have those messages already. And it was honestly nothing sneaky. He wasn't being weird about it up until he sent me a DM after he left my house whenever they brought me my birthday gifts. And he goes, oh, you didn't say hi to me. And I was like, first of all, I said hi to you, and second of all, why are you texting me this? I thought that was very sus of him to message me. It was like, no, you didn't properly say hi. You're supposed to give me a hug. Like, next time I see you, you better give me a hug. And I was like, and at this point, I was like, oh no, like, I'm gonna tell my friend. The only thing that crossed my mind was me going and telling my friend that her man was DMing me these crazy comments. The fact that he told me, oh, next time I see you, you're gonna give me a hug. Like, he was demanding me to give him a hug. And then he would also make comments if I didn't reply. Oh, you and I should hang out. Like, you should come over soon to your friend's house and we can all hang out together. And I was like, what the heck? If I had a man and he was saying these things to another girl, oh, I would be so livid. I would break up with him like this. Me being the good friend that I am, I'm gonna go and tell my friend. At this point, I don't even care for the surprise party because the last thing I need is for my friend to assume that I'm doing something sneaky behind her back when in reality, it's her man. I also have messages to prove that I never said anything flirty to him. And at this point, again, I just didn't care for the surprise party anymore. And I want him to gaslight her, manipulate her, and tell her all these other things when in reality, I have the proof and I did nothing. So the only thing that came to mind again was me telling my friend. So here I go and tell my friend, and she was like, why are you texting him? Why are you this? Why are you that? Like, making all these excuses and taking her man's side. And I was like, I literally have proof of text messages that he's telling me all of these things, that you're still gonna take your man's side? Like, what? When my friend started to defend her man and blame me, I got really upset because I'm over here being a loyal friend and telling her exactly what's going on. I think the part that really got her upset was the fact that I responded back to him, but he was literally throwing her a surprise like party. He wanted to invite people over. He wanted me to distract her, that way she doesn't catch on to what's going on. So I don't think I did anything wrong. I feel like it would have been wrong if I were to flirt back with this man and go along with the nonsense that he's telling me, but I was literally helping him out surprise her. So I don't think I did anything wrong. If you think I did anything wrong, then let me know down in the comments below. But the fact that she chose him over me was very hurtful and very upsetting. So at this point, my friend chose her man, who she had only known for 1 year, maybe 2 years max, over me, her friend, who she's been knowing for 5 years. So this day, honestly, it blows my mind how there will be girls who will choose a man over a friendship, and that is just very upsetting, especially because me as a friend, I know that this man is not loyal or faithful to her. But again, I feel like at this point, you just gotta let people learn and stay out of the way. And I know some people might hate me for saying this, but this is one of the reasons why I no longer go and tell people if their partner is being unfaithful, if they're cheating on them, if they're being sus behind their back, things like that, because of this exact reason. Like, there will be girls who actually DM certain girls, call them, asking them for all this information on their man. At this point, I don't even know for what reason, because they just end up forgiving them and going back with them, which is so crazy to me, because now all the information that I told you, you're just gonna go and use against him. You're not gonna trust him, but you somehow still want to be with him. It makes absolutely no sense. And I feel like us girls always end up getting bashed at because we were part of a situation, when in reality we didn't do anything. We're just telling you the truth, but you still decide to choose a man over your friend, which is absolutely crazy to me. I still don't understand why girls do this. If you're wondering, I'm no longer friends with her. Are they together? Probably, but honestly, I don't care anymore. It's not my business. That's their problem. I'm not gonna get involved. I tried doing my part and somehow I ended up being the bad guy, so I'm no longer doing that anymore. This is also one of the reasons why I have trouble making girlfriends, because girls are just weird. This is the end of my story time. If you guys have gone through something similar, please let me know down in the comments below, or you guys can send me a DM because I would like to hear your story. If you feel like I did something wrong, let me know also, because I'm still trying to figure out where I went wrong. If you have a story and you'd like for me to share it on my TikTok, you guys can email me. My email is in my bio, or you guys can also DM me if the story isn't too long. But with that being said, I love you guys so much. I will see you guys in my next story time. Always remember to cherish the moments that make you happy, not the ones keeping you from being happy. And if you are having a bad day, always remember that you can't have a rainbow without a little bit of rain. Bye.